All right, you guys, we got about less than 4 minutes till we open here, so I'm just gonna paste in my last script for DIA. Morning. So I believe that we have FOMC in minutes tomorrow at 2, but I know we have like ISM data coming out. Clark did post about it in the Apprentice chat, so it is right there for us. Yep. Um, so I think the ISM, all of those reports are coming out at 10. So typically, when we have these 10 a.m. reports, if you are trading the first 30, just make sure you kind of cut your trades before 10, because depending on that data, the market's going to have a reaction. And sometimes it can take a while for it to settle and react. Sometimes it can act immediately. So you don't want to get into a trade before 9:30, not close it, and it was going great the first 30, but after that it kind of turned around. You kind of, want to make sure you're at least trimming and collecting some profit, and you can always get back in at 10. Like, the market just opened. So it's up to you if you guys want to wait, till 10, see how these reports come out, how the market takes these reports. That's perfectly fine, but just be aware that we have 3 of them coming out. Yep, the non-manufacturing PMI, the prices, and we have the JOLTS report as well. So that's about jobs. So um, those are just some things that we should be aware of for today. But other than that, I think we've got about a minute and a half here. So we are opening above the 50 fib, which is right at 594.79 on SPY. Also under that big OI of 595, right? Let me see here. So on the OI sheet, I know like 598 and 599 had a little bit of OI, but if I had to evenly distribute on the page, they just didn't have enough OI to make it as a 4 or a 5 to show up on our chart. So that's why we don't have any really big levels until 600, because you guys can see the OI is just pretty big here. So just be aware of that. Looks like that first expected move is right under 600, which kind of makes sense, right? And then the negative side is right under 595, which would, if we were to come down, we probably would come down to that fib, that 50 fib, right? So just keep that kind of stuff in mind. Make sure you guys drew those on the daily. And the same thing for Qs. I mean, that the downside expected move is right at 522, right? And the upside, I think, is like at 528. So there are some pretty weird numbers on the OI sheet, like the 539.78. This is just like market manipulation, so I wouldn't think too highly of it. But there is a lot of OI, that's why I included them. So don't be like weirded out, like what the heck is this? It happens sometimes. You'll see it occasionally. It doesn't happen often, but occasionally you will see them. But looks like we are about to open. So remember, we did gap up about $2 on SPY, and here comes the opening bell, you guys. All right, you guys. Looks like we did just open here. So it looks like we had a squeeze in the pre-market, but we're no longer in it. I just see like a blue squeeze for the hour. So we're hanging on to 525 here for Qs, but we're in and out with this 1 hour gold squeeze. And if SPY does come down, we might just get back into it. And for DIA, that first big level to the upside is 430, but we did gap up about $1. And if you guys take a look, we've got that 90 MA daily right here. So if we do come back down, we would need a retest on this area. So that's kind of what I would be looking for if it does start to come back down. The daily is still bearish on SPY and DIA. So, the trend is still bearish. It looks like it is almost about to cross up. So, who knows? We might get a cross up on the daily today. We'll just have to be watching, but you guys should see like your dailies are magenta right now. Q's is been completely cyan, but we've got DIA and SPY there. You guys can see like that daily is magenta right now. Looks like we got a little bit overbought here for DIA. Remember, we did gap up a lot, so sometimes you want to see how the market is gonna settle. And it looks like we did get some pre-market signals here. Got the call 2 hour, call 4 hours kind of in and out here. Yep, looks like DI popped right back under that 429. Got a little overbought, and you guys see Qs, it kind of got back in that 1 hour gold squeeze. So remember, we do have some reports coming out in less than 30 minutes. So, just remember you don't have to, if you want to trade first 30, you can, but, I'll be waiting to see how that data comes in.
Good morning, Miss Gaby.
Hey, what's up?
Just living. Good to hear your voice again.
Is this Derek?
Oh, you know it.
Yep. I was like, I don't want to mess up his name. I remember you. Yep.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Happy New Year. All right, you guys. So Q's did also gap up. I think it closed somewhere around like 524. So you guys can see like those bands are forming in the background. See the hour gold squeeze. It looks like we had a 30-minute as well pre-market. So it could be a second half type of day. If we just stay in the bands, we might. I know Clark was talking on the recap that we could expect like some type of contraction in the morning. Of course, we have all these reports. So it looks like SPY is kind of following with DIA right now. So we were talking about getting a retest at least on this 9 EMA daily. That's what I would like to see. That's a pretty big level. We did get a call 4 hour pre-market. So if it does start to come down, I would like to see a retest there. You've got Qs, got the 1 minute arrow, but we're still in. Now we got back into a 15-minute gold squeeze as well. So just something to watch. So you guys see that expected move to the downside is right next to that 1 hour squeeze band. So there's a lot of buying and selling within the range of these bands. So if you're taking trades with them, just understand when we get to one of the bands, you want to be careful and start to take profit. Like whether you took calls off of open and you saw this, I definitely would have been kind of more conservative, taking profits, maybe a very small little trade. But whenever we get like to the bottom or to the top of the bands, just make sure you're collecting profit because it's not guaranteed to break like right when it gets there. So you don't want to assume something. So it looks like DI is trying to hang on here. We might revisit 429 soon if it keeps it up. You guys see Q is kind of, looks like it might be crossing down the Ichimoku right here. We got the chain pointed down. So they could be trying to, fill the gap. Here comes Q's, had the 1 minute arrow. We got to the top of the squeeze, could not break out of that. came back in, even got back into a 15-minute gold squeeze. And here comes DIA, so this might be pulling SPY up. But, SPY is still hanging in there. Oh wow, look at Q's. Dropped right under 524. So DIA is starting to push here, and looks like SPY is kind of trailing behind. It's just in and out with this hour gold squeeze, but we still do have Qs in contraction. So it looks like if DIA continues, 430 is that next big target to the upside. That's like if it just continues to move there. And it looks like Q's is really in and out with this 523 right now. So you guys see the chain, it turned around here. We got a little bit of strength right there on the chain. It pointed down, so it came down about almost $2 right now. But we do have DIA kind of pushing up, so something inside of that DIA sector, inside of one of those sectors that DIA has, it could be pumping right now. You got SPY, it's not really following along with it. It just got that 1 minute arrow, so we got back into this gold squeeze right here. And we've got about 20 minutes till that data comes out, so will be interesting to see like how the data comes. Got a P5, so we just had a whole cross down, so you guys know, like, as soon as we get that 921 cross, you guys can see it right here, we will get a signal. So that's kind of what it told us right now. And if we get the same for SPY, we should get a P5 here. So sometimes these 1 minute arrows, it can be earlier entries. We got a little oversold here on both SPY and Qs, but we did just catch some strength on the chain. You guys see that brightness, that bright magenta start to pour in. So we're talking about that expected move to the downside. I do believe that Qs has filled the gap to the downside. I'm going to check really quickly. Yeah, I think we filled the gap. But there is another gap on Qs from yesterday. We did not completely fill the whole thing, so just understand that gap for Qs was from 519 all the way to 522 is what we have left. So that's about a $3 gap. So let's say if like, the market, if it comes down and it wants to fill that gap, or maybe the news isn't too hot, we do have a gap right under 522 all the way to 519. So just keep in mind, you guys should draw those gaps in as well, just to have it. And as far as SPY, probably have relatively the same thing. Yeah, SPY has not finished filling that gap just yet. It's got about, looks like to 595.50. So we've got about another dollar left of that gap if it does decide to fill it. But we're still in these squeezes, so you can expect some volatility within the bands. Whenever you see like the gold squeezes or white squeezes, there's a lot of buying and selling going on, which can kind of make the price spike around, chop, and go. Sometimes it can be very, very fast. So if you are taking trades, just make sure to collect profit, because it could just pop right back up. So.
Gabby, I just pulled up your screen too. I wanted to make a note for everybody too on DIA. Watch the 5% correction level at 428.97
Oh yeah.
as well. That's something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the negative 5%, right? Where'd you say it was at, like 428.97?
That is 428.97.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's probably why it's chopping around like this. Yep, here comes the call 5. You guys see Q's kind of bounce right off that pivot as well. Looks like it, yeah, those are the bands in the back. I think that's the 15-minute right here. So we got down to like the 15-minute squeeze, had a little bit of, turbulence here. We pop right back up, hit this pivot. Same thing on SPY. You guys see at 596.20. Came right down. We could not get a cross down. We got one on Q's, but we did not get one on SPY. So it looks like we're still in this 1 hour gold squeeze. We have about 15 minutes until that news comes in. So Q's did fill the gap that it created today. So just be aware, SPY and DIA still have that gap, but it looks like here comes SPY with a 1 minute arrow. Got another 1 minute arrow here for Q's. Look at the chain kind of turned around here. So look at SPY. We just came back to 597. DIA chain turned down just a little bit. Looks like it needed to cool off. But it's still holding on to 428. So, I mean, that negative 5% is right under 429. So if it can get above that and hold on to that, probably is going to try to test 430. And, we could just see what happens there at 430. Pretty big OI, pretty big psych level for it as well. So it's got the most OI in this area first. It's like the first, big one on the upside. On the downside, we do have a lot here at 425, but 430 is that first big one that we're looking on the upside. So if we do get above that, then we probably could start making our way just upward, and that could take SPY with it. But right now, it looks like we're just waiting on this news. You guys see Q's just chopping around, coming back up to 525, getting slammed back down. Look at the chain just kind of turn back too. So could just be waiting on the news here. Yep, we were talking about this retest that we could get for DIA. So that 9 EMA daily is right there, right at 428.15. Looks like it's headed down there. You guys see the chain kind of pointed down. No strength just yet on the chain, but we're just waiting. Very, very close. One minute arrow came back here for Qs, but we're still in that 15 and 1 hour gold squeeze right now. And look at DI, couldn't quite get to that 9 EMA daily. And we've got SPY trying to hang on to 597 here. So we kind of expected this type of price action because of all those reports. So we do have about 10 minutes till those reports come in. So if you guys downloaded investing.com, right at 10 o'clock, the news will drop and you should get a notification so you can kind of see like how the news came out. So it looks like that P5 came back for Qs. The change has been pointed down. You guys can see that magenta kind of push in here. So what I would recommend is that those gaps, you guys do draw them in. Who knows, like maybe the report comes in, we push up, but if it doesn't come out good, there are some gaps to the downside that you want to be aware of. So, if it does start to come down, we could just take advantage of that. So you can draw all those gaps on the daily. So you guys see like this space on the daily in between the candles. So you can just get the rectangle and draw them. in between that. So we've got less than 10 minutes here before that news comes out, so just get ready. So I've got mine drawn in for Q's, and then we could see where SPY is at. Oh, we got a 1 minute arrow. You guys see how DIA came back down to retest this 90 MA daily. So, if you see this again and, you see price open up above these levels, it's more than likely they're going to come back down to retest. And looks like it's trying to hang on to the 9 right here. And it just pushed right back up once we got right on top of that level. You guys see SPY got the 1 minute arrow, got the same thing for Qs and DIA, and just a nice pop back up. So, and no longer in that gold squeeze on SPY, but it's so close to it that if it does come back down, it could just get back into the squeeze. So I'm just going to wait till the news. We get that in less than 7 minutes here, so it comes at the top of the hour. Oh, there's a call 5 for Qs, but we're still in this 15 minute and 1 hour gold squeeze, so right at the top of that 15-minute band right now. You guys see SPY got pushed down here, so it came back into that gold squeeze. So this is why, if you are taking calls here, you want to be careful. A lot of sellers just pushing it down. You see we got under 598, they pushed it down. So there's a lot of supply going on right here for SPY. And same thing for Qs. 525 is already a pretty big level. So, and we've got about 6 minutes until the news comes out. So I'm on the daily for SPY. So you guys see that we still have a little bit of a gap left right here. Basically just a hole in the market. The market doesn't like holes. So let's say, if it does come down, doesn't have to come down today, but whenever it does come down, you definitely want these gaps drawn in. So, when you see it happening in real time, you'd be like, oh, we might fill a gap. So don't have much of it left on SPY, but and you guys can also see this is on SPY. So on the daily, you can see, previously every time we've been down here, look at the wicks over here, wick here, wick here. So there's a lot of supply at 598 or very, very close to 598. Just previously, you guys can see like all these wicks. It's just a lot of action going on here. And look at Q's just really chopping around, not doing much. Got DIA, it popped all the way back up, but still not at 429 just yet. It's just slowly moving up. You see the chain kind of turned around. It never did catch strength to the downside, you guys can see here. So, but look at Q's. This is not, it looks pretty ugly on the chain. You know, you can see that magenta kind of mixing over here. And it's a little relentless to hang on to 525 right now. But one thing it is doing, it's managing to get back above that Ichimoku. So if it does come down, we would need to see it break past this previous low of that 523.58 right here. So it looks like it caught strength again on the chain. We have 3 minutes until that news comes out. Yep, look at DI in and out with that with 429 right now. News coming out in like 2 minutes. And so if SPY does cross down, you guys see it's very close to crossing down the EMA. We should get a P5. So, you know, if we do get that, we are at the same area where we pop back up right at 596.20. So you guys can see right there. And look at DIA. Kind of pop right down. It attempted 429, but you know it's still pretty close. The candle hasn't closed just yet. We've got about 2 minutes here. SPY's super close to getting a cross down for us. And look at Q's. We're at the same area before we pop back up. So news comes out in about a minute. You guys can see we're getting kind of stopped out right on these pivots before we pop back up. Got about 30 seconds here till that data pops out. Look at DIA, got back to 429. Chain turn around at the bottom, but we do have some strength here on the chain for Q's. So just going to keep our eyes on it. We do have a gap that's kind of closer to Q's. So right under 522 to 519, there is a gap. So just make sure you guys have that drawn in. And we're still in these squeezes. No squeeze on DIA, but we do have some contraction here on SPY and Q's. So, and 2 seconds. So it is 10 right now. So let's go ahead and see how that news comes out. Oh, whoa. Look at that. Put 15, put 30. Wow, that is crazy. Look at that expected move. We might have just wicked that first expected move for Q's. And this is why, like, I would wait for the news, you know. Even look at DI. It came right back down. So it looks like that 30-minute cross down. The chain was, you know, we kind of saw that momentum switch on Q's. Look at this huge candle here on SPY. That is insanity. So it's headed down for that 50 fib. So the JOLTS report came out higher than the forecast. And let me see how this ISM came out. Look at SPY, you guys. We just hit that 50 fib, and now we've got that 21 EMA daily. So if you guys grab some puts, like this candle you would have gotten paid at this candle right here. P1H here for Q. So remember I was talking about this gap. You know, we didn't know exactly if it was going to come down, but it looks like it could be headed in this territory, right? So under 522 to 519, there is a gap on Q's. So, and look at SPY's gap right under 593.66. We've got DIA. It created a gap from this morning. It's almost filled right now. It came back to the 90 MA daily, got underneath that. So it looks like we're out of that 15-minute squeeze here. Was anybody able to like grab puts super fast and maybe catch some of this pop? Because this is crazy. That's a huge candle here on SPY. Oh, is that Carlos? Okay. Yeah, I hit 111% on my puts. I got in as soon as I saw this. You guys can see the kind of the momentum moving in, and when you see this, this is kind of like, okay, like you could see the momentum is really changing. And if we look here at SPY, now this is happening on SPY. So typically when you get these huge pops, over here. So when you get these huge candles, right, it could be creating what's called like a bear flag. You'll get like an impulse move down. It might come back up. If it does come back up to retest like the 21 or maybe the 50 fib or 595, right, it could get stopped out here and potentially make another leg down to go lower if that happens. But just gonna have to keep our eyes on it. You guys see it kind of got pushed up at the level. Look right at this 50 SMA daily. It popped all the way back up, and we're still in this gold squeeze. So just make sure. Yes, it's moving fast, but you need to be collecting profits because. I mean, look, it came down here and got pushed all the way back up. So, if you are buying more than one contract, you can collect on the way down, right? And you can add more once we start to see it come down more. Maybe it wants to retest 21 or the 50 fib. You can start to, add more if it does start to come back up and we just see more continuation. So right now for SPY, all we did is get a P5. Could be getting some other signals. And look, we crossed that 50 fib as well on Qs, and that expected move is gone. So what I recommend you guys to do, since we did hit those expected moves, go to the trade tab, and looks like we've got $3.68 left on Qs. So we can go ahead and draw this out. If it continues moving down, that could like fill the gap. That could be just right here. That's a really bad line. I'm just gonna leave it there. And then for SPY, if we see some continuation, let's go ahead and check for SPY. So for SPY, we got about $3.15 left. You guys can see, you type it in on the trade tab, you look over what's in the parentheses, $3.15. So this is how much more. So this is going to take us to 590, and that would make sense, right? So the gap is right here. We're right on top of that gap. And look at Qs, you guys. It's just continuing to push here. We've got SPY continuing to push down. So let's go ahead and take this. So where could we go? Let's go ahead and move $3 more. Gonna take us somewhere around like 591, 590, somewhere potentially over here. Was anybody else able to grab puts, whether on like SPY or Qs? It's kind of an obvious one right here. If you're not getting a fill, I would try to like adjust bid and ask price. When the market does move fast, it's kind of hard for those contracts to fill.
I got 107% on SPY within like a minute.
Oh my God, good job. Who is this? Okay. Make sure to post that. Great job. Super fast. All right, you guys, so it looks like we're getting a tad oversold here on SPY. Chain still pointed down. Remember, we were talking about this, so you get a big candle. It might come back up to retest, because if you see, what did it do? It plowed right past the 21, right? So it doesn't have to retest, but if we see it coming back up, we would, try to see like, okay, are we coming up to the 21, the 50 fib, or like 595? And look at the P5 we just got here on DIA, right underneath that 90 MA daily here. All right, you guys. So we are inside of this gap fill. We were talking about this. So the end of that fill is like to 519. So I drew mine in here. You guys should see it in like light blue, and we are just entering the gap here on SPY. And I'm checking the paper profits. So I'm seeing Holly. Let's go, Holly. I'm seeing Kyle. Good job, Kyle. So if you guys are, post those profits, tag me, tag your leaders. Look at that. Look at Qs, you guys. Next big level would be 520, right? And we do have the 9 EMA daily right on top of 520. I know it's hard to see, but it's this purple line right here. And look at SPY. More continuation, another leg down right here, hitting that 9 EMA weekly, right? This is what we were talking about, you guys. So let's go ahead and see. All right. So if we are looking at the OI sheet just from an OI perspective, so once we got under this massive OI, you guys see 595 for SPY, right? We do have some levels under it with that 90 MA weekly and a bunch of these other levels, so it makes sense to get kind of caught up in these, right? But we redrew the expected move, what's left. So that could take us, if we just continue moving down, we could see 595.91. Right? Just if that happens, like if you just see we get through these levels, we plow through the 90 MA daily, we could be looking for 590, right? Now for Qs, so the gap fill is done at 519. So look, I mean, if we just see, we could get down to 519. There is no OI after 519 until 515, so that would be a lot. But, it's the same process that we'd be looking at. So, when you redraw that expected move, when we get to 519, I would check again, like how much do we have left now, right? So if we still have $3 left, then hey, maybe we can make it close to 515. So that's how you would go down the list and kind of look at it, right? So looks like we're under 520 right now, and look at SPY, about to pop under 593. So it's just you repeat the process, and this is how you can get those big plays. Like, you see people getting 2, 3, 4, 500%. They're doing the same thing. And, it may be tasking to continue to do this, but if you're trying to trade all day and looking for those big ROIs, that big return, this is how you have to do it. And look at DIA. So you guys see that chain over here? You see that mix? And look at the mix. We're talking about this. We see it. We saw it happen here on Qs, and look at SPY. See that magenta just come in? Got the brightness on the chain. And look, we're right here, right on top of this 9 MA weekly. And look, we got some more signals. And you guys can see, depending on the signal, you see these time frames that were previously cyan. When you get those P15s, like that's indicating, hey, we just crossed down. So when you get the P30, you match it down here and be like, oh yeah, it looks like the 30-minute did just cross down. So we got a signal telling that to us as well. So 520 is a pretty big zone for Qs. You guys saw how much open interest is here. Anytime you see a number in this bright red, understand there are people that are taking a lot of profits here. This is a big demand zone, a lot of supply and demand. So just make sure If you did take multiple contracts, make sure you're trimming. It did dip under 520, so make sure you're trimming on the way down. But we got a little oversold. Kind of makes sense. Had a huge move. Same thing for DIA. Huge move here, right? And look at SPY. We just dipped back under 593. We're in and out with it right now. And look at Qs. It doesn't really have the fastest reaction to 520, right? So could lead us to believe we could try to pop under 520 right now, just from the way it's acting. If it does come back down, I'd like to see. But looks like we did just fill that gap. Looks like SPY's gap is filled as well, so kind of want to be careful around here. So we could not close under 520, so it looks like SPY got held up right here by these levels, right? We came down for DIA, rejected this pivot, which is this gold line, right? So look, DIA rejects, SPY rejects, right? All right, I'm going to see if anybody else posted some profits. So right now I just have Holly and Kyle. So right now all the chains are pointed down. So just keep in mind on Qs, if you guys kind of widen the screen or, you can see that right under 520, we've got the 21 EMA daily and the 90 EMA daily. So we've got a lot of levels kind of cooped up into one zone. So this is why this might not be the easiest level to break through. But let's say if we close under 520, get under these levels, we could see some more movement to the downside, right? So we redrew that expected move. So once we get down to like the bottom of 519, what we would do the same process. Now we can see DI is coming back down to retest this pivot, and all a retest means is it's basically revisiting. Same thing with with SPY. You see it pop back up, and now it's revisiting the same area that it pushed up from, and you see like it's just getting pushed back down. So maybe we're gonna get under this 90 MA daily, which is right under this big 90 MA weekly. Okay, so Anju, I see you. Let's go, Carlos. See Erlene. Amelia, let's go. Nice job. And then Felipe. Oh, look at DIA, you guys. We are right on top of that pivot. So let's see if we can drop under. So for DIA, it kind of looks like very, very similar to SPY right now. So what we can do is say, okay, so for DIA, I'm seeing 426. We got that OI at 426, but look under 426. 21 EMA weekly. You see this gold line right here? So, the bottom of 426, maybe we can experience some turbulence just because there's multiple things going on here. So, I would look for this to be our next landing zone. Oh, Michael got some too. 150%. Let's go. And look at Q's. It's still hanging around 520, so we could drop under. City got some. Now you guys are posting. Let's see. Oh, we got the P1H here on SPY. So you guys see that 1 hour change to magenta right here. And look, we're right on top of that 90 MA daily. Oh, here comes Q's. So you guys see DIA got pushed right back up. So we're kind of watching this area right here. I'm going to see if we can drop under that. Just going to be watching it. Oop, here comes DIA. And look at Q's, you guys. Look at Q's right on top of that 90 MA daily. So I know they can be hard to see because all these levels are kind of cooped up in the same spot. Oh my god, I just hit 237%. Is anybody else hanging on? Oh, it is definitely put city today. These are my favorite type of days. On put days, you just make more. Contracts cost more, so you'll definitely make more on these type of days. Oh, let's go, you guys. We are about to get to that level where we got to redraw these expected moves, so... And looks like we're right on top of these levels right now. Pretty easy day, right? Look at the P15 for DI. We just dropped under. So let's go ahead and see what we got left for Qs. Well, let's see. So for Qs, we've got $3.72 left, right? So that would take us right at 516, right in front of that big OI. Oops. Getting a little oversold with DIA. Look at SPY, got oversold as well. SPY came down to this big pivot here. So we got to that second expected move on SPY. So, you know, remember, you guys, if you're hanging on, you should be trimming when we get to those expected moves, trim along the way, like, you know, start taking profits. We pop right back up to 520. A lot of demand here, right? We're in and out right now at 519. All right, you guys, we're talking about this. There's a lot of levels here. And also, if we're looking at DIA, we were talking about this pivot and we got under, but we got pushed back up. So we were talking about the type of area that this is, right? So, you know, you don't ever want to assume anything. That's why, you know, when we get to pretty big areas, just start to trim. So I'll draw like a 5-minute fib all the way, maybe like right up here. And if I want to draw one for Qs, I would do one down here to here. All right, so we were talking about, 520 is a pretty big zone, right? And we had two big levels under that. So just make sure, like these areas, you can't assume that we're just going to keep falling. We were looking at DIA. We were really watching this pivot. It rejected, came down. So, these were very big zones that we had to be aware of. So, just understand this. It's kind of good to have all three of these up at the same time so you can be watching so you don't get surprised. All right, you guys. So as SPY comes back, if it does continue to move up here, I got my golden fib right over here, but we did not get a retest on that 21 EMA daily. So if it does find itself coming back up, we would be looking like, okay, we've got a lot of levels that we plowed through that it might need to retest, right? So, and we're still in this gold squeeze. So, have not broken out of this gold squeeze just yet. Just keep all these things in mind. So, just like we were talking about for Qs, also, you guys got to remember, when you see a lot of these levels stacked up together, just think like, hey, a lot of supply and demand could be going on here. 520 big level, and I will talk about this again. Whenever you see on this OI sheet, when you're looking here and you see like abnormally large open interest numbers, you got to think about the people who are taking their profits here. You know, a lot of profit taking. Maybe some people are getting in at 520. They're just waiting, but these are very big zones, right? Same thing. Look at 590. Look at 510. Look at 525 on DIA. So DIA is one of those things that once they get to a level, sometimes you'll see that wick like hit the level exactly. So I can't even imagine what type of reaction it would get at 425. Right? This is a lot for DIA. Normally like under 1,000 is what's normal for DIA, right? So right now DIA is coming back to retest this 90 MA daily, and look at SPY. SPY is coming to retest the 21. Looks like we're still under that 50 fib, which is at 594.79 for SPY. So if it comes back up, we could get a retest here on that 21. All right, so we see SPY creeping up here, But look, it's also following with DIA. So this is why, you kind of want them side and side with each other. And we're still in this hour gold squeeze. We just pop back into that gold squeeze here for Qs also. So here's that retest for DIA. So also, you guys, we filled the gap for Qs. That big gap that we were talking about, we filled it for SPY. And we also filled that gap that we created on DIA this morning. So those are things we could check off our list. Like, we're no longer worried about them. I might just delete my gap just so it can get out of my way. Oh, okay, you guys. So look at this retest at the 21 right here for SPY. We got wicked. When you see the wick pointed up, that's just imagine sellers pushing it down. And on the opposite direction, when you see that wick pointed down, that's buyers pushing it up, right? So it's really supply. When you gets pushed down, that's supply. There's selling. A lot of selling goes on at supply, right? And at demand, a lot of buying happens here. So we can see 592. Look at all this demand. Look at this huge wick. Got pushed right back up, right? But there's a lot of supply here at 595 and at this 21 EMA daily. And looks like Q's is inching its way back up. So I drew those fibs in the 5-minute also. So it looked like it wicked that golden fib right here. And you can just draw it from the bottom to the top, right? Same way how you draw the daily. You draw it from, bear fib, bottom to top, bull fib, top to bottom. And look at DIA. We just hit that 9 EMA daily. So we want to see what it does here. So whatever happens here is probably going to happen to SPY. Just going to keep our eyes here. So we just got the P30. So you guys see that 30-minute time frame down here just went back to magenta. So I know on our way up, a bunch of those signals disappeared, but that P30 came back. So it's telling you, hey, we might have 30 more minutes of some downward movement, right? So we did get that P1H on Qs a while ago. So let's see how long that signal has been here. So it's been about 30 minutes since we got that P1H. And this is why, retests, they're important, right? You kind of want to understand, like, okay, what do we need to retest? And, when we start to come back up, you would be looking like, okay, where can I expect us to come back up to? We were talking about this 21, right? And we came right back up there. So, you'd be watching here, and then we pop right back down. So, these were possible re-entries. Watching just that happen, and look at Q's, another leg down. Did anybody re-enter or maybe hang on to some runners? Because I'm still in. Could be a bear flag right here. Oh, you did? Okay. What are you at now?
65%.
Let's go. What strike did you get?
517.
Okay. Is this Mike?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I knew you were familiar. I see you.
Cool pivot. Miss you guys.
Yeah, it's been a while. All right, you guys. So as we're seeing this happening, I'm looking at SPY, right? But I'm also looking at DIA. So we were talking about if DIA comes back up, like where are we going? Look at this 90 MA daily, right? We came all the way back up here and we just couldn't pass it. So we're still kind of close to it. I'm just going to monitor this, but if we just bounce and come back down, it's definitely going to help pull SPY down. So I want to be watching that. But let's look at Qs. Oh my goodness. I love to see this. I love put days. Oh, 300% for me. Anybody else? There's a big pop right here. So remember, we took the, oh snap, sorry, my contract's moving fast. Let's go. All right, so let's go see how much we got for Qs. We got $3.68 left. So that's gonna take us, if we continue moving down here, if we can get under this big demand zone. I have another fib here, like another 50 fib. If we can drop under here, we definitely could be seeing 516, 515. And if we see, look at 515 and the 90 MA weeklies here. So, but we need to get away from these levels. We need to break away from these levels. So, same way how we kind of had the whole process on the way down, you just continue to do the process again. You find out, okay, like where are my other levels? What do I need to look at? And this is how you get those big plays, but you need to know where those are so you can expect, like, okay, well, we might have a rejection here because we've got all this going on. Like, this is how you can kind of like plan like the movement, and you can kind of see like, okay, this might happen here. That's at least how I look at it. Helps me out. All right, so these put 30s were sticking here for SPY. Chain still pointed down. That P1H came back, but we're still kind of caught up in this big demand zone. 90 MA weekly, 90 MA daily. But look at DIA. As long as we stay under this 90 MA daily, we should continue to move down. We rarely see expansion days or some nice big moves when we do the live, so this is pretty nice that we get some movement here. Oh. So remember, we have $3.68 left on Qs. We can do SPY in a second. So what I would do is I would go to add a drawing, just right click, get your little trend line, and let's redraw this out. And you see this rectangle that it pulls out here. So that second to last column, it's basically counting the dollars, so you don't have to do it. So I'll just put it right here. So that would land us, like if we continue to move, we might see 515 if we see more continuation down, right? So that's going to be important. Like, can we break away from this zone? Because if we can't, we might just stay around this area, might pop back up, but this is going to be important. And if we want to do SPY, let's go ahead and do SPY. So you guys see, I type SPY in over here and look right in the parentheses, $3.20. So we can do the same thing here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push this down. All right. So 590, really big area. So I know that second expected move is right above 591. So I guess we can go check this once we get there. But look at Qs. Getting right to that zone. We could drop under this other fib. Oh, look at DIA. It just could not get, oh, it's very close to this 90 MA daily, so we're going to keep our eyes on that. Oh, here's a big pop for Qs. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about contracts for a second. So let's say if you guys were to have gotten in right here, right when Q's was maybe at like 522, you can grab like the 520 P's, right? 520 puts. And once we get to 520, of course you can trim some, but you can also add on. Like once you see like, hey, we just broke through 520, you can get like the 518s, 519s just to add on, so you can just continue to maximize this big move, right? And to no surprise, after we redrew that second expected move, we already hit that. So those new contracts that you would have added on, they would already be green, very green, right? So that's kind of how you would do it here. Same thing on SPY. You even could have gotten also like the 517s too, very, very close, right? For SPY, how you could have done it, we were here. So let's say if you kind of caught in the middle of this candle, maybe you had like the 595s or 593s. So once we get there, you can collect some profit. But also you could add on like the 591s, 592s, possibly even the 590s, right? So this is kind of how you would maximize these big days by adding on like contracts like that. You don't want to, like for SPY, I would definitely not tell you like don't don't go grab like the 580s or 585 just yet, right? Because if that doesn't happen, you might never we might never make it to that strike. And also anytime the price comes back up, since that contract is so far away, it will get affected really heavily. So, to prevent that from happening, you want to stay in the range around like where the price is. You don't want to be too far away because now your contract's going to be very sensitive, right? So it's like you want to, the contracts you buy can also go hand in hand with your risk management. If you're being really risky and you're buying like a 570, I honestly don't know what to say, right? So you just want to make sure you're staying within a couple strikes out the money of that contract, right? Just so you can kind of maximize the move and just be more realistic with it. Like, okay, we're more likely to hit here. Let me get a strike above that. Let me start to add on here. Just stuff like that. All right, you guys. I know I'm at 577%. Is anybody else with me? This is an easy day. I just see a lot of profits. 600% for me.
270 right now.
Let's go. Look at DIA, you guys. So does this make sense? Like today is a really good day to look at these rejections and, you know, kind of seeing how when the market comes to retest, this is how you can be like, okay, well, if we fail this level, I'm going to re-enter. I'm going to grab more. If you miss this move here, you could have waited for a retest and gotten more, either maybe waited to hop in to see the reaction here, got more, however you want to do it. But that's why these areas, very important to kind of notice already. That's why, I always talk about these levels. What do we have here? Because most of the time we come to these levels or we hit them. Like these are just something you want to be aware of. Like, okay, I could use this for this and that. I definitely don't mention it for no reason, right? So it looks like we redrew that expected move for Qs. Did we hit it for SPY? We did. So now this is the perfect time. Let me go to SPY. We're at 590, so be very careful. $3.24. This could take us for SPY somewhere in the 587 range. 588, 587. So let's go ahead and redraw. Somewhere around here, right? We got a pivot right here at 588.35. Look at Qs, you guys. This is a massive move. So we're at this pivot again for DIA. You guys see we're having a lot of problems at this pivot for DIA. So we need to get under here. Okay, Paco's up 150. Let's go. Okay, Luis got some. I see Top G. Kyle got in. Look at free bands. He's going crazy. Okay, Kyle, I see you. Top G. And look at Luis. What'd you get, Luis? 121. Let's go, Luis. I remember when Luis was struggling to get 100%, but now he's just doing it consistently.
Hey, Gaby, it's crazy because I was thinking the same thing.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I was like, damn. My first month I was just getting 30%. My coach was like, "Come on, man, get with the program." He
It,
showed me one play that I got a 30% profit, and that play I got in went to like 500%. And he was like, "You just gotta hold longer, like, now I'm at 200 something percent,
I'm telling you. It like
bro.
randomly happens, you know. But
Yeah,
it's definitely a progress. I don't expect people to start. I mean, some people they hit them right off the bat, but it's definitely some people take a couple months and that's fine. It's whenever it clicks for you. But on these days, I don't want to say they're super easy, but once you kind of see it repetitively, they become easy. So these I love put days. It's just you make more and it's kind of easier to play. But
I would say I'm still struggling with the squeezes.
okay,
I didn't take that P5 or QQQ because it was still on a 1 hour squeeze.
okay.
But like if I would have followed the game plan, it was a good call because it was puts under 525.
You see that the key right
Whoever
there.
got
You said it right
yeah,
there.
whoever got that P5,
Mm-hmm.
probably you or you got.
I don't remember where I got in, but I kind of already, when I saw that mix on the chain, like that momentum coming in, like I love the ADX. So when I saw that mix and I saw that we had a gap and we were super close, I was like, come on now, like, we're probably gonna fill that gap today. We're just too close. And you saw the struggle at 525. Like whenever you see a struggle to even get to a level and maintain it, it kind of tells me something. So that's why I'm always looking to see like how do we hold at this level. What does the momentum look like at this level? Like are we pushing up easily? Stuff like that. It just helps you to get into more of a flow state, right? Same thing with
Yeah,
DIA. Like we're really watching this pivot right now. So if this thing breaks, we could see some more movement. So maybe I'll get 1,000% today. All right, you guys. So I want to go back to the sheet because SPY is in and out with 590. So same thing. Remember 520 for Qs. Remember how much turbulence we had there. We're gonna probably see the same thing at 590. I mean, this has a little bit more than what 520 did, right? So just think about this, and also, if DIA breaks this pivot and comes down, look at 425. This is a lot. You know, um, this could be like the ending zone for DIA if it gets here. I don't know what it's going to do, but it probably is going to have some type of reaction here, right? So that's what we're watching on DIA. It's, DIA is a slower mover, so it might take a while for it to get down there. But please have your eyes on that. We just got some more signals here. Whenever you get signals at a level, more likely to break that level. It's just telling you, hey, like I would kind of take this. So let's see if those signals stick here for DIA, telling us the P15, the 15-minute is just crossing down. So that's why you see it over here with the magenta, right? And so our next level for DIA is that 21 EMA weekly, right under 426. So I'm going to be watching that. Oh, look at SPY, in and out with 590. I know the negative 5% of SPY is also down here. I reloaded my chart so it disappeared, so I'm going to have to, I wrote it down, so I'm going to have to go figure out what it is. But oh, look at DIA. Finally trying to get under this pivot. This is what we were talking about, right? So do you guys now see, like, once you break a level, hey, we could look to move lower. It just makes it easier when you look at it this way. So it helps you stay in trades longer, maybe even plan when you're going to add more. I know some people probably waited for that 21 EMA daily retest for SPY and they added more here, or maybe this was their first time getting in. However they wanted to do it, you could have done that. Oh, let's go Qs. We are just stair stepping down, just bear flagging down. All right, so looks like Qs could be headed for 515. We are talking about this 90 MA weekly, big OI at 515. We are talking about that this could be, a reality of where we could go. We redrew that expected move, so if we continue down, we could see this, right? So look at DIA starting to push down as well, so it's going to bring down SPY. SPY's getting super close to the bottom of 590, so just be careful with that. Let's just watch and see how that goes. And we've also got SPY. It looks like it's, in and out with this 50 fib, the other fib that I have drawn. Same thing with Qs. They're all in that same area. So, the fact that we are, dropping under those could go down to these bigger OIs. So we see kind of SPY headed down for 590. And look at DIA as well, headed for this 21 EMA weekly. So something we could be looking out for. So now we just have the daily cross down on Qs. You guys see the daily just changed magenta here. That's pretty big for Qs. Got the 2 and the 4 hour still cyan. So we got a little oversold here. Spying Qs, and remember we were talking about DIA. Looks like it tapped the bottom of 426, got right on top of that 21 EMA weekly. So we were talking about this, so that there could be some type of reaction here. So just be aware. These big levels, you don't want to assume that it's just going to fly right past, right? All right, you guys, this is a pretty, it just turned right around. So, just understand, like, you guys should be taking profits. We don't want to assume that it's just going to start to dump like $5 or $10. It's all a process, right? So, did get a little oversold. oversold on SPY and look at DI. We were kind of talking about this as the next area that we're looking at. It got here super quickly, kind of, slipped under our radar, but we're kind of expecting that big reaction here. We've got a little bit of OI, we got a pivot, and then also 21 EMA weekly. So, just something to be aware of. Okay, I see you, Mopo. He made $300. Let's go. All right, so we see DI kind of sticking around to this pivot, right? You guys see that? Just hanging right on this pivot here. Same area that it, came to every time, so. So SPY filled the gap. We can see on the daily, like that gap is filled. Okay, so you guys see we came to this pivot right here for DIA, got pushed down just a little bit. So, if it does head back down, want to see, can we break 426? That's the big question. Looks like Q's is pushing back up here. So it could be coming to retest some of these levels. We have a bunch right under 520, but also, so since we broke through demand, the demand is going to turn into supply. So, if we get back to 520 for Qs potentially, if we cannot hang on to 520 and get pushed back down, then we're probably going to move lower. But if we can break 520, that's going to be turning right back into demand, right? So I just want to watch that. Look at SPY, just hovering around that 50 fib here. Same thing, 592, a lot of demand here. Now it is changing into supply. So let's say if we just stay under that, probably going to come back to 590. But if we break through it, now that's going to hold us up, right? So we could move back higher. So we've got DIA. We could see 427 here. All right, look at SPY came right back to this 9 EMA weekly, just like we were talking about. And DIA, this pivot is just holding up way too nicely, right? So we were talking about, hey, where could we go? 427, right? So Let's go ahead and see. And same thing for Qs. Look at the 90 made daily and the 21s right here, and that big zone of 520. So just want to be careful. So I will say, normally when we move a lot first half, sometimes at 11:30 it is going to be that retracement period. Like it will obey the retracement period. I think there was other news coming out. No, I don't think we have any more news. So tomorrow is the big day. I know in the morning, pre market, we have ADP non farm employment. We've got jobless claims, 10-year note auction, and FOMC in minutes, which is going to be the big thing. So tomorrow, kind of what we can expect is maybe some first half movement. And then after we get that move, or however the market wants to do it, we might just chop until FOMC. So, if you are trading tomorrow, just be aware that FOMC is something that we have going on. So typically the market is always waiting for those. Let's go, Holly. This is a big day for you. All right, you guys. So we were talking kind of about the supply and demand, right? So we moved past the demand, and now that's supply. So we're just right back to these zones, retesting some of these levels, and look at Qs. We could be seeing 520. Maybe it wants to retest 520, right? Oh, look at Qs. Chain starting to turn around as well. Look at SPY. We got a little pop over here on the ADX. Look at this huge pop here. And we were really looking at DI. This is why, always have all three of them up, because you could tell a lot from just DIA, right? We came down to this pivot. We knew that we were watching this, and unfortunately, it could not get past 426. So look, it just popped right up here. Now, if it crosses up, we should get the C5, but, looks like Q's is going through these levels right now. But if it gets back above 520, we could be looking to move back up here. So just want to keep our eyes on that.
Yeah, I took a 596 call before the candle up 35%, just for fun.
I feel you on that. Oh, there's the 1 minute arrow on both SPY and DIA. Who knows? We could get one here for Qs. Huge pop right here. So look, we're getting right back to this 90 minute daily. So if we get above this, we could start to be moving back up. Oh, here comes DI, you guys. You see, right back to this 90 minute daily. And it's having a little bit of trouble here. So I want to see if it can actually move past it. We haven't crossed up on the 5 minute for SPY or Qs. And looks like DI is kind of close. So just like we were talking about, look at Q's headed back to 520. Nope, look at DI. We're moving right past that 90 MA daily. Got the chains curving here. So Q's is having a little bit of turbulence. So remember, this is a really big zone. So depending on if we can get back above 520 or not, it's going to be a big deal. And look, SPY came back to the 21 EMA daily again. So, you know, if we just can't get back above that, we might come back down here. And look at DIA. Looks like they pushed it back under. So I want to see if we can actually get above this or not. So today, pretty easy day. I saw a lot of you guys posting profits. So looks like we're kind of getting the hang of these smoother moves, right? Getting the hang of like what continuation looks like, what we should be looking at, like the level perspective from fib perspective, all that kind of stuff. So and on days like today, you definitely can make back a lot of the losses that you had earlier in the week. On days like these, this is when you capitalize and you kind of make back all your losses. So it's like you forget you even had the losses on days like today. All right, you guys. So here is another visual example of those big retests, right? I mean, look at DIA. We really, I mean, I was kind of convinced that it might get past it. So it came back down and got pushed down. So this is still something that we need to get above, right? So it looks like that's what we're waiting on. So I would definitely keep our eyes on DIA, and we have that negative 5% of DIA right under 429. So the fact that this morning we came under it, you know, just could not hold 429. If we do get past that 90 MA daily, we could be headed right back there. So, you know, when we get back there, it's like, do we reject it again or do we get past it? Because if we get past it, we could be headed for 430. But right now we're watching this 90 MA daily. This is just that first trouble spot we got to get above. Looks like we got a 1 minute arrow here for Q's. It's trying for 520 again. Same thing here for SPY. Could be looking at that 21 EMA daily for SPY right now. All right, you guys. I mean, it just looks like Q's is trying for 520. It's a big level. A lot of other smaller levels here, like that 90 MA daily, and the 21 I think is also there. So the same way how we had a lot of trouble breaking this level, it's a lot of trouble to get back above it. So we're just watching that right now, and of course, the big one here is this 90 MA daily for DIA. This is gonna dictate, whether we can come back up, especially for SPY, right? You see, kind of SPY's just locked up here, looks exactly like DIA. So we're super close here for Qs, about 30 cents away. Want to see, hey, can we get to 520 now, or are we just gonna come back down? So if you guys are looking at DIA, this 90 MA daily just looks like a lot of trouble. It just cannot get over it. We're just staying under it. And look at Qs. We can't get to 520, can't get past this 90 MA daily. Same thing on SPY. We can't even get back to the 21. So still no strength just yet on the chains. This light blue is just, hey, momentum to downside was slowing down. And also from just an ADX standpoint, so when we get under 20% on the chain, you might start to see that the price is gonna, consolidate, or maybe not really be able to move much more in that direction. It has to come up and create more room to go down. It just like needs more space, right? So it got basically to zero. So kind of didn't have any more juice left to give. So had to come back up. No strength just yet. We had a little pop here for SPY. That's why we came back up, and of course the rejection from DIA. But now we're kind of halted at these big zones. So that's the question. If we can get back above 520 for Qs, for SPY we have that 50 fib right under 595. So if we head there, can we get back above it? That's a question, right? And of course for DIA, we know this 90 MA daily is a big one. So gonna keep our eyes peeled on that. So I do want to talk about VIX. So this is like a volatility index. When the market is moving down, the VIX is going to be moving up, and the VIX is looks like it got a call on hours and it's starting to move up. So when the VIX gets to $20 or above 20, you will notice that the market, like the premiums, like the contracts, those can cost a little bit more money than normal. I remember last time the VIX got to $20, everything was so expensive. You had to go like maybe 10 strikes out the money for it to be reasonable. So if the VIX is moving up, the market probably is going to be coming back down, right? So it looks like we were struggling to get to 520. Now the VIX is starting to come back up. Look at 90 MA daily, struggled here. So let's say if we do come back down, we know the exact levels that we're looking at to see, hey, can we continue to move further? So, for DIA, of course, we got to get under this pivot, the same one where we shot back up, and we need to get under 426, right? If we do that, we'll probably come down even lower. For SPY, we got to get under 590. And for Qs, we would like to get under 516. So if we want to talk about a scenario, let's say if we drop under 515, where could we go, right? So right at 512, you guys see a couple levels here, and 510. So let's also talk about a scenario like I know I didn't include too much OI today. You never know how much the market's going to move. Just didn't have any more room for other levels, right? So let's say if a scenario happens where we drop under 510 for Qs or under 585 for SPY. A lot of you guys might be lost without OI, but you can still go check the trade tab to see. But remember, every 5 is a psychological level. So 505 still exists. 585 still exists. 580 still exists for SPY, right? So the same way how we've been doing this, you would just continue to do that, right? Nothing changes from that. So, I mean, 505 big OI there, and under 505, look, I've got another level here right on top of 500. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that, oh, I'm lost because I don't see an OI level here. You can't always count on that because sometimes the market may move way past than what we expected it to do, right? That's just out of our control. But if you treat it the same way how we kind of played today, then you should have no problem doing it, right? So let's say if we do drop under 585, I'm seeing a pivot under 584 and look at 581. 21 EMA weekly. And I think around like 586, 587, there's a negative 5%. So there's all types of levels that we have. So, it's not just like depending like, oh, that OI line's not there. You shouldn't have to just depend on those. We have fibs, we have so much more. So like in scenarios that happens, you're prepared on like where else this could go, right? You don't just want to be solely dependent on one thing. Because when you guys start trading stocks and stuff, you're going to have to do these levels by yourself. There is no like script for every stock, right? We only have it for SPY, Qs, and DIA. So it's kind of like you want to start to train yourself to understand that now. So as you do progress, you just realize, hey, I'm going to apply the game plan to everything that I trade. And, so just in case we do have bigger moves today, I'm not really sure what to expect for second half, but, just in case you guys still are ready and able to, catch bigger moves today if we do see that. But just wanted to check with you guys, is everybody like redrawing in those expected moves? So like after the live ends, if you guys continue to trade, you kind of already know what to do. I just want to make sure you guys are kind of following along. So my next expected move is definitely somewhere around like 588, right? And that's for SPY. For Qs, it's somewhere around 515. So the same way how we redrew, once we get here, you would go redraw it again. Just want to make sure you guys are good on that. So just let me know.
All good here.
Perfect.
Hey Gabby,
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering after we pass the apprenticeship, do we still have access to the script?
Yes. So let's say if you get into the Ascension, they have their own little stream there. But you still do have access to this. And let's say if you're not ready for Ascension and you get extension, you still will be able to get on here. The only thing you have to do is just keep up with the trading journal. They're just big on that. So as long as you're posting that trading journal, if you're not in Ascension, then you should be good. But if you don't, then I'm not responsible what happens to you because I'm not in charge of that. All I know is I'd be scared not to post that trading journal. I know when I was in an apprentice, I would be sweating on Sunday night if I didn't post it. So just make sure you post in that and you should be good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Gabby.
Uh-huh.
I think I missed the
The big
part
move.
where you were talking about the drawings. Would you be able to show that real quick?
For like the expected moves.
Yeah.
Okay. So we already hit the first expected move, which was that lime green dot up here. So when we hit the first one, all you would do is go in the trade tab in the top left. Remember, so let's say if you're trading SPY, you would want to see all the way in the right corner. You see in the parentheses what it says. So it says 2.91. So this is telling us, hey, we have basically a $3 move left. So once we hit those moves that you draw out, and all I did was just right click, add a drawing, and you see this trend line right up here, you can extend it out and it's going to give you this box. So the second to the bottom row, you see where it says 1.5, you could draw this out. So if I want to do like 291, you would draw it out to that. But let's say if we hit that next move, you'll go back and just repeat the process, because if it has more to give, you want to know, right? So we already hit the second one, which came right down to 591. So the next move, like if we drop under 590, we could be looking at 588. Does that make sense? And you would do the same thing. Like for Qs, we already kind of hit, we almost hit the third move, which would be right at 515. So if we do come down again, we would be looking at 515. But for SPY right now, we're looking for 590 first. And then if we get to 588, I would redraw it there. I would go back and check, see like how much do we have left.
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And also for DIA, we're kind of, if you look at DIA, you see like these gold dashes. So that's a pivot. But I don't know if you also could tell, but every time we get here, what happens? We get pushed back up. So DIA failed to get back above this 9 right here, the 90 MA daily, which is that purple line. So if it does head back down here, which to this same gold dashes, if we can get under that, we're probably going to move down more. So, just keep your eyes on DIA, because, the market's kind of following it, especially SPY. So that's what we've been watching, to catch all these big moves. So just make sure you're also being conscious of what's going on here. And also, you guys, 11:30 starts the lunch period retracement time. Sometimes the market doesn't really move during that time. Sometimes it does. So in a scenario where we're not really moving, that's probably why. But if we do start to move, maybe we could slow down later in the day. Maybe at second half, the market might slow down. So you got to play it by ear and see like how it's moving, because we are about 10 minutes away. But we do have a pretty decent move left. So who knows, maybe that'll come second half at 1, or maybe we should see something during lunch. But, just to be aware. All right, you guys. So look at SPY right now. DI just got that 1 minute arrow Looks like SPY rejected some of these levels, so we're not far from where we pushed up last time. So if we do come down, I would be looking for somewhere around like 590. If we can plow through this 50 EMA daily, we're looking at DIA right now, so it looks like DIA is headed towards this pivot, so it's definitely going to pull us down here. But we want to know like the reaction at this pivot. Like, do we just pop back up again, or can we break it? Same thing for Qs, you guys. We never got back to 520. We're talking about how this is such a really big level. Not only from the amount of open interest we see at 520 from the open interest sheet, like the OI sheet, see like 64,000. So a lot of contracts being bought, right? So the fact that we are holding under this level is a big thing. So if we're able to stay under there, right, we could potentially move back down somewhere in this area, maybe back to 516, but we need to kind of like hold, and I would like to see some strength in the chain as well. But we're kind of in and out, which is expected. We just had some pretty big moves, so might just chop around. But after you guys notice the price chopping around, we usually get a pop. So you see, like we had this huge pop here, then had a couple, we were just staying, not really moving much, then popped again. Same thing, popped again. So we're due for a little pop. So I want to see where we pop to. So SPY and DI are kind of chopping around here. Same thing with Qs. Not really too much movement. Chains are still pointed up, but no strength just yet. We are headed towards lunch period, so I want to see if we are able to move during that time, or do we just see more continuation down? Okay, we just hit 520 on Qs. Now we want to see, like, can we hold 520? Pretty big area here. Oh, we got DIA just cannot sustain 427 right now. So we already talked about those big levels that we're looking out for DIA. Same thing, like 426, you guys see that 21 EMA weekly. So last time we got down here, we shot back up. So also another area just to be looking out for, because SPY does follow along with DIA. So just want to make sure you're aware of what DIA is doing.
Hey, Gab, we have a question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's up? Can you hear me? Yeah, you're muted right now, Iota. I know you said you had a question.
Yeah, so on the ATX,
Mm-hmm.
that cyan that we are seeing, that's in the future, they're like future dots. What does that mean?
Which ones are you looking at?
All right, so hold on, let me scan it quick. Yeah, like where your mouse is at right now,
Okay,
going
these
to
like,
your right.
yeah, this is just more
Yeah,
strength. So depending on the color, it's just more strength. So ADX is all like,
yeah. Like what about the future ones? The ones that hasn't happened yet. So like if you just keep scrolling to your right,
oh
those
yeah.
dots right
I
there.
mean, just more
Yeah.
strength, really. Like what we're really looking at is, I mean, we're just seeing a lot of trouble at 520, right? We're about to head into retracement period, so I mean, it's just more strength. Like we are, in and out, like to the downside. So I would just kind of be weary, just pay attention, because if we do start to come down again, you know, we could potentially see the levels we were talking about, but just kind of let you know, like some more bearish momentum. Same thing like how earlier, remember when we first saw that mix, like look on SPY. Um, when I see this on SPY, you see that mix, you see like the magenta first mixing, and this is my favorite thing. Um, I know that we're probably gonna have a nice move down because that momentum is shifting. So it's just something to be aware of. It can change too. So like I said, we're heading into retracement. So I would just be kind of wary because if you start to see some brightness here, like cyan blue on the chain, maybe a C5 or something, we could just pop back up. But I would draw those 5 minute fibs to see like, hey, where could we retrace back to if we come back up, right? Just kind of watch it and see, but it's just like a strength factor.
Okay, this is how I've always used it. I've never asked the question, but typically whenever I see, I guess, future tots until it runs out, I kind of use that as a strength
Oh yeah,
indicator. Yeah, that's
same.
interesting.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with like these. You see like these pops right here, like bars. Also like a strength bar. You know, see like
Yeah, I
this
use
purple bar here.
buying signal many times. Yeah,
Yeah, purple bar here. Look, we pop
yeah,
down. Chain
yeah.
pointed down. Get a pop here. Might see some buying.
Okay, thanks a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Yeah, no problem.